Today, the Monday, 31st of March, I addressed the people of Papua New Guinea on the current political fiasco at Parliament and the courthouses. The Prime Minister, James Marape, on his return from New Zealand, had stated quite clearly that he would not step down from office due to the process whereby he was elected by the people, the representatives of the people on the floor of Parliament, and that only the floor of Parliament could undo him or ask him to resign through a vote of no confidence. Having said that, he also went ahead to ascertain his stay in Parliament by passing the recent amendments to the Constitution voted by an absolute majority on the floor of Parliament. Now, what the Prime Minister fails to understand is that the democracy is bestowed. The power of sovereignty is in the people that elect the representatives. And on the floor of Parliament, we have 118 members of Parliament who are voted in by the people of this country. And of the 118 members, you have an opposition and you have a government. And so far, so good for the Prime Minister, James Marape, because he's got 81 loyal politicians who will go with him to the grave. And we can understand why the Prime Minister is very certain that it is the laws, it's the Constitution, and the members of Parliament who have the power to place him or remove him. You can see that the Prime Minister does not understand the fundamentals of a democracy. In any democratic society, it's the wishes of the people that mandate the elected representatives, through the polls, of course, and not only through the polls, on popular public opinion, whereby the people have the power to revolt against those elected representatives. So you can, it is very obvious that the Prime Minister does not have the state of mind to understand the fundamental principles of a democratic society, where the people have demanded that he step down. Now, having stated that, he has also been dragged through the courts for his involvement as the finance minister under the Peter O'Neill regime in 2012, where he had given instructions contrary to law to peruse, verify, seek the funds, and make payments to Paul Poraka, when he did not have the powers in that particular instance to make any such decision as Minister for Finance. And in fact, he had committed a criminal act. But strangely, the people of Papua New Guinea should not be out on the streets and should not protest about this, because the law will catch up with him in the end. And we can understand why the Commissioner of Police, David Manning, has appointed him as a state witness. Why did Marape qualify to be a state witness of all the people? State witnesses are people who are not involved in the culpability of any crime. And as far as the facts are concerned, James Marape in his position as finance minister was culpable in giving written instructions that the claims be paid, when he did not have the legitimate authority by law. It was supposed to be the Office of the Attorney General and the Solicitor General that farmed out contracts to lawyers for legal services, such as the Poraka scandal. But here is the twist. In 2019 and 2020, COVID-19 funds from international donors totaling 1.5 billion US or 5.7 billion kina was placed in the control of the emergency. In the control of the emergency, COVID-19 emergency, which was a military lockdown right across the world, and the controller of the COVID-19 funds was none other than David Manning as Commissioner of Police. Since 2019-20 to 2025, no accountability has been made, no reports have been presented to the Auditor General or presented on the floor of Parliament as is required by the Public Finances Management Act. And interestingly, since James Marape became Finance Minister under O'Neill's regime in 2012 until the current or the present time as Prime Minister since he took over in 2019 to now, he has not complied with the Public Finances Management Act to make fiscal reports or present reports, inspected reports by the Auditor General, and to present reports to Parliament for tabling for the public consumption. So here you have a man who does not believe in the law, but believes in his own invincibility and his magic as a flamboyant character. So where is the rule of law? Commissioner David Manning never accounted for the COVID-19 funds which were placed under his control. And he had feared the accountability of the funds, and he had conspired with the Prime Minister of the day in setting up a special investigation board, which is unlawful. It's null and void, and it does not have the powers under the Police Force Act, Section 14. It does not give the Commissioner any powers whatsoever to establish a sensitive investigation board. That board was established last year, 1st of March, to a circular. And the reason why the Commissioner had established this unlawful investigation board was basically to protect himself. Because a victim of his, a lady called Flora Masor, was abducted and raped in Kimbe in 2020, had filed a complaint which was delivered by the former PPC of Kimbe, Benedict Simanjuan, to the Deputy Commissioner of Police Operations, Mr. Yama Sombi. And when the Commissioner caught sight of that, he had quickly established an unlawful sensitive investigation board just to protect himself. Mr. Commissioner, I know you tried to abolish or delete Facebook from this country with your police minister and maybe the Prime Minister at the back as usual, but Facebook, WhatsApp, and social media has become the official form of communication. And here I'm telling you, I'm advising you that the People's Anti-Corruption Movement, which is a civil society organization under my leadership as President and public officer, have filed 2 summonses so far. The first summons was based on your lack of competitiveness, in that you had never authorized or you had never investigated James Marape and all the other politicians and public officials, lawyers who had gained from the Paraka heist of 162 million kina of public monies. You refuse to use the Proceeds of Crimes Act with deliberate intent so as you could not present the statements of the money trail that were emanated or paid out from the Paraka lawyers' accounts to politicians, public servants, middlemen, negotiators, and everybody else, because you knew very well that the forensic investigation unit from the police department had very sensitive information which could go against some public officials. And therefore, it was a deliberate act to pervert justice, which is an offense under Section 136 of the Criminal Code of 1974. Furthermore, you had deliberately created a sensitive investigation board, which is unlawful, only to protect yourself from being prosecuted. Being prosecuted for the crime you committed in abducting and raping Flora Masol of Kimbe, West Liberton Province. This matter has gone viral, it's gone public. A senior member of the police force, Detective Sergeant Tino, had filed an application for a warrant for your arrest, which again got suppressed by the magistrate's court for unknown reasons. And it still is going to be what the courts, and we have come in as joiners. We have now filed a writ of summons, WS number 53 of 2024, John Endemongo Kua, People's Anti-Corruption, and versus David Manning as Commissioner of Police, or David Manning as a police officer and current Commissioner of Police. Simply for you to come to court and prove your innocence in a court of law. No one is above the law. Let us understand that no one is above the law. Now, we have also got an originating summons, number 08 of 2024, which has been set for hearing on 3 different occasions, the last being on the 22nd of October 2024, and has been deferred because the judge was not available. And last month alone, I had written to the Chief Justice expressing my frustration on how the wheels of justice turn. And we had asked the Chief Justice, we requested the Chief Justice to appoint a judge to take carriage of this matter and restore the rule of law in Papua New Guinea. The Marape government, in its time as Finance Minister and Prime Minister, has not complied with the Public Finances Management Act. And here is why he didn't comply with the Public Finances Management Act. You have the PNG Connect program. I don't know why he has to call it the PNG Connect program. The Works Department, the Department of Transport and Works, have been maintaining roads and building roads since the beginning of time. But here, you come up with a catchy praise just to save on public monies. And interestingly, reports from a whistleblower which were presented on the floor of Parliament by the former Prime Minister and member for Yalibu Pangia, Honorable Peter O'Neill, revealed that amongst the top 5 contractors, the single biggest contractor is a company named Ipwens Construction. Ipwens Construction was given a forward contract of some sort that is not clear insofar as the Public Finance Management Act is concerned as to how this particular contract could comply with the procurement requirements stipulated in the Public Finance Management Act. But so far, this company of very little reputation, it's a construction company, has taken all the top awards. Now, interestingly, the owner-operator of that company is a character by the name of Moses Palipe. Was a former corporal or some private in the army who decided to get into business when his cousin Mrape became a member of parliament. And so far, in 2023, the year 2023 to 2024, 750 million kina was paid out as contract payments to that particular company. And since then, they may have made more payments. But the twist is, that company, the principal of that company and Marape, who people say that they're cousins, which we can prove, are also shareholders and directors of Kua Limited. Moses Palipe and James Marape are shareholders, directors of Kua Limited. Now anybody can go down to IPA and check that out and confirm that Kua Limited is a company that's jointly owned by Moses Palipe and James Marape. And that company was formed some 20 years ago. So here is where it gets more interesting. It so happens that the company owned by the Prime Minister's cousin is the biggest beneficiary of the Connect PNG program. And after him come other companies. Interestingly, we have one company owned by the longest serving managing director of MRDC, a Southern Islander. The company is known as Oceanic Construction Limited, which has also got a lion's share of the cake by getting contracts all over the Southern Islands and Hela, Inga, Western Islands and other parts of this country. After him comes another company also from the owned by a Southern Islander. Here the questions come out. And recently we discovered that another member of parliament was given contracts to his company prior to him becoming a member of parliament. And he's a member for Unga Dana. And he continues to be a beneficiary. And recently his company was given another major contract. And there's nothing wrong with that, he owns the company. But the leadership code under section 27 does not allow that. Does not allow ministers, members of parliament, constitutional office holders to use their position of privilege to gain business advantage over others. And that's become a common practice. We have seen since the August session of Parliament last year, when there was a proposed vote of no confidence against the Prime Minister. And the Prime Minister set up camp at Lolowata and has paid for rooms, he's lured the members of Parliament, he's written out checks today that were not appropriated, such as the 60 million kina paid to Enga provincial government, or the warrant release which was disputed in the court of law by the governor of Gulf, and the judge had ordered that there was no such appropriation and therefore was illegal, and it was cancelled and nullified in the court of law. And many others had got payments from the government, including the governor for Morobe, who had issued a threat to challenge the Prime Minister for the leadership of the Pangu Party, and he was held up at the airport when he came back from an overseas trip. And they had gone ahead. The Prime Minister had gone ahead to match him in front of a dummy check of 50 million kina under the IDG grants, which we have not investigated as yet. But there is very clear evidence of the Prime Minister using bribery to contain his support on the floor of Parliament. And that is in breach of Section 62 of the Criminal Code Act, which does not allow any person to bribe a member of Parliament to decide on a question or any vote on the floor of Parliament. So here, I am calling on good officers of the law to process the Prime Minister and members of Parliament who have solicited bribes, to charge them under the Criminal Code Act for accepting bribery, soliciting bribes, or paying bribes. And that is very, very clear. Now, I have explained to the Commissioner of Police that I've got 2 summonses against him. He can go to the court registry, obtain the summonses, which I'm talking about. It's OS number 52 of 2024 and WS number 53 of 2025. These are 2 summonses against the Commissioner of Police to restrain him from interfering with myself as President and Public Officer of the People's Anti-Corruption Movement and all our members until matters that we have raised in court against him are heard by the court. And we have also taken the summons against the Finance Minister and Prime Minister, and we have asked the courts to restrain them from interfering with us until this matter is heard. Now, having said that, I am now calling upon the members of the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary, and particularly the senior officers who are in command, from the Deputy Commissioners and the Assistant Commissioners, to do your job as officers of the law. You have sworn your oath of loyalty to the Constitution and the government of Papua New Guinea, and not to any particular individual. To do your job in calling in the Prime Minister and questioning over his involvement in bribing members of Parliament, and also the members of Parliament who have received huge amounts of money in the last 12 months through the Department of Finance, through proxy companies. Some companies were just registered overnight. They paid 10 million and above. And it is there. The records are there. Public finance records are there, and the police have to go investigate these records and bring all these members of Parliament who have benefited from the bribes to be tried in the court of law. Thank you for watching me. John Endemongo Kua, President of the People's Anti-Corruption Movement.